My dream was to play in the major leagues.
Schrager just joined the club 10 days ago, traded from the Dodgers organization. He was with their AAA club, the Las Vegas 51s. And Schrager goes down the swing as he takes that one up and out of the zone. And a 1-2-3 inning for Mitchell. He's set down 6 straight ball sides.
The numbers are staggering for all players as far as how many get there versus don't. The percentages are definitely against you.
If you get hurt, you know, there's 10 guys behind you waiting to step up.
It's just relentless. It comes at you every day, and it's not like one day it's going to be an easy day and the next day it's a hard day. It's every day it's the same.
There's so many uncontrollables that a player has to deal with. In many cases, that's where a lot of frustration comes in.
You don't have control of playing time. You don't have control of umpires. You don't have control of field conditions. You don't have control of very little except yourself.
Each year, around 1,500 new amateur players out of high school and college are drafted to play minor league baseball, all hoping to someday make it to the major leagues. This is a story of two.
Schrager. 1 ball to no strike. Schrager has lined to left, grounded to second, and hit into a force play. 1-0 pitch. That's low, ball 2. 2-0. 2 balls to no strikes. High fly ball to deep left center field. Watson in short giving chase. That ball is back. High off the wall it goes. Taken by Watson, and Schrager pulls in at second base with a very long double. He missed a home run by maybe a foot right there.
I wake up about 6 o'clock and then go for our morning training session, which is weightlifting. We generally start at right around 7 and we're done by 10 usually. Sometimes 10:30, but you know, between 9:30 and 10:30 we're done with that. I've had tendonitis in my knee, I've pulled muscles, I've broken bones. You know, I've been fortunate enough to be able to not have any really serious things happen that I couldn't just play with.
You know, Tony's in a unique situation. He's 28 years old and he's never been to the major leagues, and he should have had his chance to be in the major leagues. And he's a phenomenal player. He can play defense, he can hit, he can run, he can do everything. He just never had an opportunity.
Got off to a bad start and got into a kind of a rut that was tough to pull myself out of for over maybe a month and a half, 2 months. And once you dig that hole, it's really tough to get yourself out of it. I didn't have the kind of season that I wanted to have last year, so I have to figure out why and what I can do this year to try to have a better year.
Would this be your last season in baseball?
Well, any season could be your last season, I think. I mean, and that's how I've treated it. I mean, you really just enjoy every season, you know, while you're there. I would hope it's not. I would hope it's the beginning of a major league career. But, you know, the reality is, you know, I'm 28 years old, and hopefully I get a great opportunity to play somewhere this year and show someone that I can help them at the major league level. But maybe people won't think that, and yeah, it possibly could be.
Tony was our shortstop. Heck of a player, you know. But first impression, I don't know. I don't know that I had one. I thought, you know, very athletic, could run real well. He also had a competitiveness that you would not even dream he had if you just talked to him. I mean, as soft-spoken and as quiet as he is, but boy, when he got out here, I mean, he might have done something wrong once or twice, but then after he figured it out, boy, he was going. His dad had a warehouse with a batting tunnel in it, and so he'd call me up and say, hey, would you come? I mean, it's being the winter, he'd call me. And I thought, I can't believe this is great.
While his friends were out doing something else after school, he was out taking extra batting practice.
Yeah, he was the type of kid that he was such a perfectionist. That's, I think, what gave him such diligence and focus. It was he kept thinking he could improve more, he could improve this or that.
I remember he came out with me. I was having trouble throwing one time.
You cannot believe how many balls he would throw from shortstop. He would come every day with bucket, 2 buckets, throw them all. And then he'd come, stay after, he'd come early, stay after, and he'd do it for weeks until he corrected it. And that's just kind of the way he did things. And I think that's what made him special.
You know, I always felt like I had to improve and I wanted to get better. And that's really nice that he recognized that and that he would say that.
I had an opportunity to see him play on a regular basis. I liked a lot of things that he did and felt that he had a chance to be a prospect in order to get to the major leagues. The signing bonuses are determined by where you go in the draft. In other words, if you're the very first player selected in the draft, chances are you have an agent. Your agent's going to wait until the guys below you sign and make sure that you get more than any of them.
We negotiated a little bit. I negotiated it on his behalf because he didn't have an agent. And he ended up getting, I think, $87,500 plus $20,000 to finish school.
So I reported to short season Williamsport, Pennsylvania. When I went to Williamsport, I think I was making like $850 a month. And you didn't see that money because they put us all up in this dorm, and so you had to pay out of your check. They'd just take out of your check your living expense. So I think my first check was, for 2 weeks, it was like $100 or something ridiculous. Like not nearly enough money to live on. Played there for a little while, actually broke my thumb, just a little avulsion fracture. So I was out for a week or 10 days, and almost right away after I was healthy, they moved me up to Rockford. I remember my first at-bat when I was moved up to Rockford, because that was a big deal for me. I actually hit a home run my first at-bat in Rockford. I played probably all of July and all of August in Rockford, 2 months. Had a really good time playing there. Got a really good taste of professional baseball.
Batting second, playing second base, number 28, Tony Schrager.
We switched affiliation in my second year, so I spent my first full year in the Midwest League playing for Lansing.
To the second baseman, Schrager makes the play, spins, throws him out.
I had my first 3 home run game ever there. Daytona was probably the first time that I saw guys that could really command a pitch other than their fastball. So that was a little bit of an adjustment. I'd gotten off to a really good start and was really doing well in A-ball and spent some time in AA. My first stint in AA was not nearly as good as my second that year. AA is a big jump just because there are a lot of really good players in AA. It was middle of April, just got called in the office. I had a phone call from our farm director. I got on the phone, he told me that I had been traded to the Red Sox and that I needed to, we were on the road, so I needed to rent a car, drive back to the apartment, pack up my stuff, and I would leave the next day. It was really mixed feelings because I didn't know if it was going to be a good thing, a bad thing, what I should think of it, but it turned out to be an opportunity, and I went to Portland for the rest of the year, Portland, Maine.
Schrager to left field, that's going to make its way to the wall. Schrager heading for second base, and he will have himself a leadoff stand-up double here, the home half of the 7th inning. Off the new pitch. pitcher Todd Ozias.
That's probably one of the hardest things that players have to understand, is that even though they're getting paid by the team they're playing for, the reality is that there's other guys in the stands, scouts in the stands from all these other organizations that are watching them play. And the reality is you'll probably be playing for one of them in the big leagues if you get there, not the one that signed you. And sometimes that's hard for kids to grasp.
I like to think that was probably my best season, possibly. Offensively, I had a probably better than average year.
And that one is clobbered into right center field. Wojcicki gives up on it. This one is gone. Home run. Tony Schrager, number 15.
The numbers maybe don't show it as much, but I think I made 5 errors the whole year.
He bunts at third base side, testing out Schrager with a bare hand pickup, and he got him. Oh, is that a good play by Schrager? Up the middle, flagged by Schrager. The throw to first. Wow, what a play!
I was a free agent my first year as a free agent, and the Dodgers contacted me right away and said that they'd like to make me a Los Angeles Dodger and wanted to bring me to Major League camp and thought I could help them at the Major League level. So it was my first chance to go into spring training with the Major League team.
So we were so excited because we thought, this is it. This is that window of opportunity that you wait for, and this is it for us.
Ended up going to spring training, having, pretty good success in spring training, and I got the chance to start maybe 2 or 3 games.
Well, they told him at the end of spring training that, at the beginning of spring training, they were looking for 30 or 35 guys to help them throughout the year, and he was one of them. But that they had to send him to AAA to start the season.
Tony went to AAA with Las Vegas and was pumped up because he knew, this is it, I'm getting called up this year. And started off the season like horribly. Probably had the worst start he's ever had. It was rough. People were catching the balls, or people were making unbelievable plays, and he could not get a hit for anything. His batting average was just so low, and he was so down. And what happens during that time? 2 of the infielders from the Dodgers get injured. So they ended up calling somebody from Mexico that wasn't even in their minor league system because they needed somebody to fill the role, and the guy ended up being there for the rest of the season. He's never been so low in his life. He's just, oh my gosh, he thought, I can't believe this is happening. I finally had this opportunity. Any other time I would have been called up and ready for this, but it just so happened that at this very moment, he was playing so poorly, they couldn't call him up. And, that's the worst, to feel like your window of opportunity passed you by. He puts so much pressure on himself. And I don't think he thinks he puts pressure on himself, but he does. He feels like there's so many people that have invested so much in his baseball career. He thinks, that I have so much invested, in his parents and his town. They know that Tony is in the minor leagues, and they're all rooting for him. And so I think he feels this sense of, I have to make it. He wants to make it for himself, but he also wants to make it for everybody else. And that's a lot of pressure to have on somebody.
In 2005, high school All-American and power-hitting outfielder John Drennen out of San Diego, California, becomes one of the most sought-after amateur baseball prospects in the country.
I don't know where I'm going to fall out, and wherever that may be, hopefully it's good, and the big picture is getting to the big leagues.
Cleveland select ID number 3252, Drennen, John.
It was a good feeling, man. It heard my name and I was excited.
What we liked about him specifically was his advanced approach to hit as a high school player.
It's not about the money, people talk about it, but
his whole thing is, I don't want to be walking in with jewelry and a new car and all. Just want to go play baseball. And he bought a new fishing pole.
That's all he ever wanted, was a fishing pole.
Just his intensity of play. He delivered, as we say, delivered a message every time he came to play. I'm here to play, and I play aggressive, and if you don't, get out of my way. He had an explosiveness to his game, power mixed with speed. He played the game fast and furious, and he let it fly when he swung it.
If I had to describe myself, I'm just an easygoing guy, pretty much.
It's funny because with Johnny, we used to laugh as he got older, and it started when he was little. I'd throw 3 or 4 buckets and say, all right, my arm's almost done. He'd say, okay, 5 more pitches. Well, 2 hours later, it was just 5 more pitches. And it's funny is I don't think that has ever gotten out of him.
Johnny's the one that you gotta say, hey, come on, cut it out. That's enough for today. Let's go home. I'd much rather have that. That's the kind of kids that will make it.
After the June amateur baseball draft, newly signed players like John will usually be assigned to one of 2 clubs in the organization's minor league system, either Rookie League or Short Season A. Both leagues are 3 months long, where in 2005, players earned a salary of $11.75 per month.
I first got there swinging wood and stuff, and I wasn't really playing to my potential and stuff. So, and it was definitely an adjustment because I wasn't doing too well for the first three weeks or so.
It's just, going out there and a bunch of new things going on, and I think he pressed a little bit.
It's going to happen. You can't just sit here and say it doesn't bother you, but of course it bothers you, but you just can't show it. I just try to, keep it in myself and, get it done and do what I got to do to change the problem.
You got to remember, this is their first time away from home. For the viewers that went to college, remember when your parents drove off and you were left in the dorm? How lonely it felt, even though we all know you were cool. But, it's a transition.
Truthfully, I always think to myself, I'm not doing enough most of the time. It's always in the back of my mind, what can I do? What can I do to, get better, whatever. I kind of made the mistake this year of taking too many swings. You never think you could take too many swings, but...
And I think that's common for any young player. As they're getting to know what their routine calls for, that's going to take some time to customize that personally, to know what the right amount of swings are pre-game, the right amount of work that they've got to put in the weight room, the right amount of work that they've got to put in with reviewing film. There's a balance that they have to arrive at, and that's part of their progression and part of they becoming understanding of themselves.
The Cleveland Indians Major League and Minor League players report for a 6-week spring training each year, starting around mid-February and lasting into the early part of April before the season. For many of the players like John, this will be their first time in spring camp. The minor league players convene on a group of fields set apart from the major league facility. They'll work out simultaneously in groups segregated by the upper and lower levels within the organization's system. Players are not paid during the spring, but their accommodations are taken care of, with the team providing room, board, 2 meals per day, and $12 a day meal money. John and the rest of the minor leaguers will stay at a hotel nearby.
All these kids that were high school all league players, all state players, all everything. And now they're coming. And now they become a little fish in a giant bowl. Where before, man, they were the big fish in the tiny bowl. And for the kids, this is a rude awakening.
Approximately 150 players are invited to minor league spring training camp each year. The competition is high, and a majority of the players are auditioning for a spot on one of the 6 minor league clubs in the Cleveland Indians system. Although John is under a significant amount of pressure himself, he and other high draft picks that received large signing bonuses will generally receive more opportunities to succeed. This does not mean they're guaranteed an eventual spot in the major leagues. They'll have to earn it. Other players know that if things don't go well now, they may be let go at any time. The organization may release up to 40 players by the end of the spring. Out of all of the players drafted, only 10% will ever make it to the major leagues.
It's really a necessity for a player to understand that it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So the way they go about it in a 50-game schedule may not work in the pro environment, but that's what the minor leagues is for, to learn how to prepare yourself properly and to take the ups and downs emotionally as well as physically in the game, and to be able to handle those over the course of a long season, of a 6-month season versus a 3 or 4 month season.
We see John going out to a full season club at Lake County, Ohio this year, and we anticipate, like any first-year player, he establishing a routine, one that's going to allow him to endure a 140-game schedule for the first time in his life. You combine that, his own personal expectations, and the travel, and the grind that 140 games can be, and this will be a tremendous learning experience for him in his first full year.
What I see in John is a very laid-back type of guy, but he knows what he needs to do to get better.
When you're trying to put together a ball player, when you look at the intangibles needed, when you look at the physical attributes, when you look at the mental end, he has a lot of attributes that you would put into that ball player to say, all right, this is what I would put together to go through the ranks of the minor leagues to get to the big leagues.
I'm sure they expect a lot out of me. I mean, being, one of their higher picks, there's no doubt in my mind they expect stuff out of me. I mean, I expect stuff, out of myself. I want to do really well and go and perform.
It's going to be exciting to see where, how good this guy gets from now to the end of the season.
Compelling stories among the newcomers in terms of players, one of which, Johnny Drennen, who was a supplemental first-round pick out of San Diego, California last year. Very talented young player, great speed, and he's the player that the Indians got when they got a compensation pick for losing Omar Vizquel.
He's a young guy, and he's a center fielder. Captain's fans, Dave, have gotten used to some outstanding center fielders here at Classic Ballpark. Pro a year ago, Brad Snyder a couple of years back, and our guy's off to a very good start, Johnny Drennen. He's hitting .326.
Oh, opening day was great, man. You get quite a few fans out here. A little nervous. I mean, it was first game. Being around the big park, and I mean, it's great to be back in that environment again. I mean, to feel how it's like again. To play for a team and compete. So it's pretty sweet.
Drennen should get a good pitch here. It's on its way. Swinging a drive down the right field line. That's a fair ball. Sanchez over to cut it off on a backhand. Drennen going for second. Here's the throw there. Not in time. They throw it away. As Drennen goes sliding into second, he throws down his batting glove. Drennen is walking off the field.
What happened is, it's going to, stretch it into a double. It's coming around and just full on horrible slide and just landed right on the thumb, which, dislocated this part of the finger. And then kind of, stretched this part out, so it kind of, irritated in this part of my thumb. So, you know, you got to realize that injuries happen. So, you know.
Tony Schrager on the line with us, a new signing by the Long Island Ducks. You're from Omaha, Nebraska. Where'd you play college ball? Did you play college ball?
Yeah, I did. I played, my first year I played at Yale, and then I transferred and played my last 2 years at Stanford.
You're a smart guy, I see.
Well, you get a little help getting into those places when you play baseball.
I understand. What's it like playing ball for all these years and really going after your goal? I mean, it's got to be tough for you sometimes, right?
You know, it's a tough journey, but you got to look at it as enjoying the journey, and that's what I've tried to do. So, you know, it's been a great experience, and I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's been awesome.
All right, very good. So we wish you the best of luck. Can't wait to get a glimpse of you out on the field and welcome you home. Thanks, Tony.
As the free agency period went along, nothing presented itself for me, so I had a couple of options. One was to go overseas and play, and one was to come to the independent league and try to use that as kind of a springboard back into organized baseball, affiliated baseball. I wanted somebody to approach me with an opportunity to play at least at the AAA level again and a chance to show them that I could play in the big leagues, but that obviously it didn't happen. You have to perform to get the opportunity. That's just the reality of the situation. You know, if I had a great year last year, I wouldn't be sitting here. You have to constantly prove yourself day in and day out. It's a long season, and just because yesterday you hit 2 home runs, you have to go out and prove yourself again the next day. This job is different than jobs maybe you're used to. If you don't perform any year, they have no obligation. They can fire you for no reason. If you're at your job and you have a bad day, you're coming back to work the next day. If we have a bad day at our job, maybe you're not. Maybe you're going home.
The Long Island Ducks organization is part of the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball, an independent league that operates outside the realm of Major League Baseball. The league consists of 8 teams playing a 133-game schedule, with salaries going as high as $3,000 a month. Teams are comprised of undrafted talent, guys with minor league time like Tony Schrager, as well as players with major league experience, all hoping to get signed back into affiliated baseball and another chance at the big leagues.
No matter how good you make it, it's still, you know, there's some disappointment that you're in independent ball. You know, having played more recently in AA and AAA, and Tony even more so, you know, when we go out to these games, we know everybody on those teams, you know, and a lot of them they're all good players, so it actually feels better because, hey, you know what, these guys are good too, and we're all in just a tough spot, but this is a good league.
And live from sold-out Citibank Park in Central Islip, Long Island, New York, this is Long Island Ducks baseball, and this is the North Fork Bank pregame show. David Weiss and Chris King, and there is nothing, absolutely nothing on Long Island like opening day for the Long Island Ducks at home. The 7th season underway as of last week, and Chris, I'm telling you, you can feel the electricity in the air and in the booth as well.
David, you're right. It's all about home opening night, and it happens tonight.
This past year was a pretty devastating year, you know, and I didn't know if he'd recover from ending on a year like that. But, you know, when he had time to pull himself together and evaluate, I think for himself, he wanted to play because he knew that last season was not his type play, and he couldn't end on that.
Schrager, 4 for 19 thus far. That's 211. This one's looking in the air. Shortstop area. Javi Rodriguez goes back, waves off his outfielders, and makes the grab. And 3 up and 3 down for the Long Island Ducks. Schrager into left field for a base hit. Tony Schrager tried to shoestring that one, but it bounced off his glove, his shoe, or both. It's 1-0 River Sharks.
That was a rocket, but to me, David, it was right at the glove of Schrager. They haven't put it up as a hit or an error just yet, but to me, he had it lined up. I think that's going to be an error on Schrager.
Now, Chris, when I called the play, I said it was either his glove or the top of his shoe, the way it ricocheted, and it ricocheted off bone. That was what happened.
Just banged up a little bit, nothing serious. I didn't see the ball that well coming off the bat. It was a real hard line drive, about knee high, just to my backhand side, and I reached for it and misjudged it, or the ball was knuckling, or whatever happened. The ball hit me on the wrist just above my glove. I don't think it's anything bad. They wanted me to take an x-ray of it just to make sure, just because there's real small bones in there. That something might be a little fracture or something. But to me, it felt like a bruise, and I'm sure, especially we have Monday and Tuesday off. By the end of those off days, I'm sure it's going to feel, good to go.
The mental side of the game, in my judgment, is every bit, if not more important than the physical side of it.
In baseball, you don't play against the opponent, you play against the game. And the two obstacles of the game are boredom and frustration. It's a frustrating game and it's a boring game. Boring game meaning there's a lot of time between pitches to think.
You have so much pressure on you to get to the next level and perform, and guys just fall by the wayside because they're not mentally tough. And in this game, you got to be mentally tough.
It's mental toughness. It's being able to handle adversity. It's knowing yourself and what you have to do to prepare yourself to get ready to perform.
Sometimes your body just tells you, I can't do it today. It's just, I feel terrible. And your mind has to say, no, you have to do it.
It's a long process. And the bus rides can wear you down, and getting moved up and down and seeing guys pass you by.
But if we can focus on what we got control of, that's huge. Because all I got control of as a pitcher is 60 feet, 6 inches, and pound the mitt.
You really want to take your mind out of it a little bit. Because if that gets involved when you're going bad, it'll go bad in a hurry.
Shifting from thinking about it to doing it. Thinking to trusting. Shutting down the thought process.
So it's balancing thinking the game without letting the game get in your head, sort of.
Because like Yogi Berra said, you can't think and hit at the same time.
When you're going well, I can't wait to get to the field the next day. Well, when you're going poorly, you can't let that doubt creep in your mind. Geez, I don't want to go to the field. Who knows what's going to happen today?
And when you're going poorly, you're thinking a lot of the uncontrollables, a lot of the what ifs.
So it becomes really a mental game. It's a game within the game itself, on the field as well as off.
It's red glare, bluegrass style tonight from Applebee's Park in Lexington, Kentucky. This is Legends Baseball as tonight Lexington takes on Lake County. And good evening, everybody, and welcome to Insight. I'm Randy Reinhardt. Glad to have you aboard for a very special baseball broadcast tonight on Insight as the Rocket, Roger Clemens, comes to Lexington. 9th winningest pitcher all time, 2nd in career strikeouts, and he is on the hill tonight. This house is ready to see the Rocket tonight.
You have no idea. It was super duper quiet. We were all just sitting there and everyone's like, yeah, this guy's going to dust all those kids, I'm just sitting there all nice and calm, and then your kid gets up there and you're so excited. It's like, oh, this is awesome.
And the batter is Johnny Drennen, who today was named to the South Atlantic League Northern Division All-Star team. They're swinging a foul tip by Drennen. 2 strikes to Drennen, left-handed hitter. Here is the pitch. And that's a fastball in the dirt. The count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pitch is high. Clemens made his big league debut at the old Cleveland Municipal Stadium, May 15th, 1984. Swing and a drive, deep right field. Forge doesn't even look up. It is out of here. Home run for Johnny Drennen. 1-0 Captains here in the top of the first inning as the youngster, the all-star, Johnny Drennen goes deep against the Rocket. Johnny Drennen with a big smile as he crosses the plate. The captain's dugout going crazy. And Drennen gets a standing ovation from this crowd.
You know, I just stepped in the box. Mine was clear, and you know, he threw me some good pitches and stuff, and count was 2-2, and he ended up hanging a split, and you know, I got it.
He hit it, and I mean, everyone's face just was like, oh my God, like everybody jumped up at the same time, and it was just too cool. It was great. I'm glad I got to go.
It was a good time, and I got around the bases, and you know, my teammates were pretty stoked about it. You just took Clemens deep, you're on ESPN, this and that, and I was like, oh wow, like, you know, it's a home run, you know.
Johnny Drennen to the plate. Drennen homered in the first inning. And the pitch from Clemens. That's a strike over the outside corner. It's 0-1. That's a swing and a miss. The count is 0-2. 1-2 pitch, swung on and missed. Drennen was geared up for the fastball and was out in front of that pitch. He strikes out swinging, 2 outs, 5 strikeouts for Clemens.
I was thinking that he had a great number, so I'd hang him a split. I think he's number 22. And I hung it to him, and he did what he's supposed to do with the split fingers that are up there. I'm sure I'll visit with him tomorrow. Ask him how that room service was. No, he hit it. I threw him a little split that didn't split, and he hit it.
Well, he never got any sleep that whole night, you know, because he had like 22 voicemails, and then all the press was calling the hotel, and finally it was like the next day, I mean, you could see he was just wore out. I said, Johnny, you've got to get some sleep. He was like, I know.
I was like, wow, that was a pretty big deal right there, and you know, it was pretty sweet, and you know, I'll always remember that. You know, on the bus, you know, you just gotta sit there and chill out. Just relax, watch some movies, listen to music, take an occasional cat nap, but that's about it.
It's an 8-hour bus trip from Lake County, Ohio to Lakewood, New Jersey. Long, arduous bus rides are commonplace in the lower minor leagues, with some trips pushing 16 hours in some leagues. Teams will generally play a 3 to 4 game series on the road, and the captains will play 4 here in Lakewood.
What Johnny is learning and what each one of these players is learning right now is how to go about being a professional hitter, being a professional baseball player, the preparation side of it. How do you maintain that swing over a long season? How do you prepare each day for the ball game to prepare for a certain pitcher? How do you prepare when you're sitting on the bench as far as how am I going to get a read to steal a base off of this guy? How is this particular pitcher pitching batters that are similar to me? As an outfielder, where do I play this guy? What's the situation? What's the pitcher on the mound? Just learning those things in the game that he probably never had to consider as a high school player.
Most challenging thing. I think the most challenging thing is, honestly, there are some days where you get up and you just, you know, you feel like hell. But, you know, you overcome that. You know, it's fun to go out there and, you know, you can still get it done when, you know, you're not feeling 100%.
Start your day in the game. When you get 2 strikes, You will go up on the bat, you will go up on the plate, you will cut your swing down. If you do not, you will be fined. And it's going to be for everybody in this ball club, not one, not two, everybody. Like it or not, that's the way it's going to be. So it's time to wake up, and we got a half a season to get this thing turned around. If not, then see what happens at the end of the year, if you last that long.
Whether it be due to injury or guys getting promoted or whatever the case may be, inevitably every year we have a need for players with experience to come in and fill in and help out one of our minor league clubs. We needed someone who could go in and play shortstop for us on a regular basis and also move around the infield, second, third. So Tony had been a guy that I had my eye on for a while, actually, because he'd been putting up pretty good numbers there in the Atlantic League. He's got a real good track record here in affiliated ball at a very high level. And his track record throughout his career all pointed to this is the guy that I want.
On July 15th, Tony is offered a Double-A contract with the Florida Marlins organization. Although only a Double-A offer, it's the opportunity Tony's been hoping for all season, a return back into affiliated baseball and another shot at the major leagues.
Sometimes you take one step back to take two steps forward, and that's kind of what I'm, being in AAA the last 2 years, it's definitely a step back to come to AA in hopes to take those two steps forward to the major leagues, and if I want to make it to the major leagues and I think I can play there, then this is the route that I'm forced to take, and I'm willing to take a shot at it.
Marlins just signed a couple of days ago. Strike one on Schrager, and now the 0-1 is trying to right over the mound and into center field. De La Rosa took a behind the back.
I think I've adapted pretty well to different situations, and I've kind of reinvented myself as a player a little bit. When I started, I was kind of maybe pigeonholed into only being able to play the right side of the infield, and then as I felt like I needed to become more versatile, I was able to strengthen my arm to the point that I was able to play the left side a little bit, and just kind of being able to show the teams something new every once in a while, so that they'll say, oh man, maybe he can do this too, maybe he can do that too, and I think it gives you a chance to play longer and gives you a better shot to make it.
Lineup by Phelps to the 2-2. Schrager grounds one past the first base, back fair the other way. Extra base for Schrager. Full count on Schrager, one out. Thurman's pitch is pulled sharply to third by the dive of Braun. Up the fair side of the line toward the corner. Another extra base hit for Schrager. Motoring into second base and no throw. When is Schrager going to stop hitting?
It's probably a lot more friendly than you might think. I mean, I think there's a lot more fraternizing that goes on than, especially the old school baseball people would like to see. If a guy's just trying to hit the inside part of the plate and he hits a guy, you don't go out the next inning and hit somebody. But, I mean, if somebody disrespects your team or disrespects the game, well, then maybe you have to take care of it. We had a guy, I think, if I remember right, he hit a home run, and the catcher got mad at him, thought he was standing at the plate too long, showing up the pitcher, but so he pushed our guy, and the benches cleared. The next inning, we threw at one of their guys, and the benches cleared again. And there was just two fights that were pretty intense. You see it a lot. I mean, you see that kind of, not maybe to that intensity, but you'll see tempers flare if stuff like that happens.
He came in swinging, and not only that, but he played great defense, and he brought veteran leadership to the team. He really brought a lot of the things that I was hoping he could bring to that team whenever I signed him, and it was just a really, really nice fit. And then on my end as well, whenever I signed him and I told him that there was a possibility that he could go to AAA if things worked out, I was really hoping that could happen for him.
On August 2nd, Tony receives a call from Florida Marlins farm director Brian Chatton with good news, informing him that he's been promoted up to AAA Albuquerque, New Mexico.
I got a call while I was in Phoenix, and he said, well, I have good news and I have bad news. And he said, the good news is I just got called up to AAA. I'm going to be going to Albuquerque. And I thought, well, who cares what the bad news is? This is great news. And he said, the bad news is all of our stuff is still in Raleigh. Chloe's in Raleigh, which is our dog. And so you need to fly back to Raleigh. So while he was flying from Mississippi to Salt Lake City, because that's where his team was playing, I had to fly from Phoenix to Raleigh. So we were essentially, flipping, I guess. I was flying from the west to the east. He was flying from the east to the west.
And she packed everything up, took it all back to Phoenix, and then drove up to Albuquerque.
Thank you. Good luck.
Tony doesn't get the opportunity to play every day since being promoted to AAA Albuquerque. Unfortunately for him, the team's younger prospects have gotten first priority over the majority of playing time.
That's what keeps a lot of people doing this, is the promise of, getting to the major leagues and and someday riding charter flights after the games rather than waking up at, in AAA we have a 5 o'clock wake up call to make an 8 o'clock flight or whatever. There's always that light at the end of the tunnel that keeps people going. It keeps you sane on the 14-hour bus trip from Jackson, Mississippi back to Carolina. Maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, you won't have to do that anymore. If somebody doesn't get a chance to see you every day, which very few people get to see you over the course of a 144-game minor league schedule, they're going to look at your numbers, and that's a big part of how they evaluate you. There have been very few seasons where I've put up just unbelievable numbers that would be eye-popping numbers, but I think if you saw me over the whole year, you'd see that I do a lot of little things to help the team win games. Unfortunately, it's not something that you get to, your manager really tells all the scouts, well, this guy was, far exceeded what his numbers say.
It's been frustrating for him. He's had a couple situations in which he really deserved to move ahead and wasn't moved ahead as rapidly as he should have been. And in all fairness, I'll say that, he's had a couple small windows of opportunity that he didn't capitalize on either. And if he had had a great spring training or he'd had a great season, he might have had his shot. And so it's gone both ways. But it is a cruel, tough business.
Greg, the captain's off to a great start in the second half, trailing that Lakewood club, and one of the big reasons the captains have gotten off to this good start is the 19-year-old all-star Johnny Drennen.
Yeah, Johnny Drennen has really turned it up a notch here in the second half. All of a sudden you look at the leaderboard of the batting average in the league, and Johnny Drennen is right at the top, hitting .332 on the season.
He was having a tremendous season here. Somebody got hurt, and boom, it was the obvious choice.
Johnny Drennen up from the left side. Johnny been struggling a little bit, hitting .247 now. No homers and 6 RBI. Ground ball right to the first baseman, Mortimer scoops. 2 steps over, pounds on the bag for out number 1.
Baseball players come in all shapes and sizes, but he doesn't look like your typical first-round draft pick, chiseled out of stone, things like that. But he is so quick, and I kind of say deceptive quickness, where out in center field, he's been here a month and a half. We've seen him made some unbelievable catches, taking home runs away, diving and making catches. it kind of boggles my mind when I think, a year and a half ago he was in some high school class studying algebra, and now he's out here and he has made the moves pretty quickly. He's got good contact with the ball and great speed when he gets out there on the base pass. You can see why he was so highly touted and got such a high draft pick, because all the tools are there.
For a 19-year-old to be in the Carolina League, it's quite an accomplishment, and he should feel good about that. I think he's got a good idea with his swing. He's got a good feel for it, especially when you see him working. He makes good adjustments daily. At times he tries to pull the ball a little bit too much, since he's been here, and then he'll just learn that over time of just knowing how to use the whole field, and and that's just part of his development.
Since being called up from Low A Lake County, John sustained another injury, a lower abdominal strain on his right side, which put him out of the lineup recently for 5 games. On top of that, he's had a bit of a tougher time adjusting to the level of competition here at Advanced A Kinston.
Pitchers have better, they locate their pitches better and more consistent in that aspect, so. Sometimes I can pick up things real quick, and sometimes you're just going to struggle with things, and it's just the game of baseball, What drives you is just knowing that you can be in the big leagues anytime. I mean, that's pretty much the motivation of the whole thing, getting there. So. It's a game of adjustments, just keep making them. Don't get down on yourself, don't get too high on yourself, and it'll all work out, so it's all good.
I think sometimes we get this New York life insurance approach to sports psych, and it's, every day it's a great day, it's a great day. Well, when you're playing the number of games that a minor league baseball player is playing, every day is not a great day. So they better get used to dealing with it.
Tony, how are you feeling about the possible last game of the season?
I don't know. I have mixed feelings. I mean, it's going to be nice to get back home.
Yeah.
But after about a week into the off season, I mean, you start missing it, though.
Yeah.
Here's the classic baseball one. The kid's playing at AAA, he's playing every day, and then he gets called up to the show. Now he's in the big leagues, and now he's playing every 5th day. And all of a sudden, he's not comfortable with his swing. No brainer, he's only playing every 5th day. Well, that's the way it goes, man. And you better learn to handle it and cope with it and get it done. Are you going to feel comfortable? No. Is it fair? No. But you got to deal with it.
You still love the game?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love walking on the field, seeing how many people come, to see this game. And I just think it's a really, it's a beautiful game. I think it's unlike any other sport. Every game is so different. Every minute is so different of it. I think it's a lot of fun to play.
To desire to swing a line drive, base hit by Tony Schrager on Ramirez's first hit of the afternoon.
It's such an amazing journey, but you never know when it's going to be over. It could be over the next day. It could be over 10 years from now. And I guess the fairy tale ending would be to finally make it to the major leagues and enjoy that moment together and look back and be like, wow, we did it.
After the game, it's announced that 4 players from the team are being called up to the Major League Florida Marlins. Unfortunately, Tony is not one of them.
He's done everything that was expected of him based on where he was drafted. He's kind of fit the mold of what that guy should do. So he has nothing to be ashamed of, whether it works or not.
He decided a long time ago that this is what he wanted to do, and he did everything in his power to bring it to fruition.
If you were to go back and look at all the guys that got drafted in the same round that he did, I'd be curious to know how many of them got to the big leagues, if any, or even to AAA.
You know, it's not what I set out to do, so it's not like I'm satisfied having played AAA baseball, you know. And I think a lot of people probably, I probably exceeded a lot of people's expectations, but not my own.
He's close, and he's at a point now where he's probably got to make a decision. Do I keep plugging away for another year or two or three, or have I given it the best I can give and I've hit the wall and I can't go any further? That's the million-dollar question that guys have to ask themselves.
I mean, we'll see. Maybe this offseason I won't have any interest and we'll move on, but hopefully I've shown people that I can still play and maybe help somebody in the major leagues. We'll just have to wait and see what they think.
The captain center fielder,
You know, a good way to sum it up is I had fun, had a good time. I mean, I feel pretty good about my first full season and you know, things I've done and things I've learned. So, still got to get a lot better, but you know, I'll get there. So, I have the motivation to do it.
I think one of the amazing things in baseball is, what does the umpire say before the game? Play ball. Doesn't say work ball. Beat the heck out of yourself if you make mistakes. Be critical, be judgmental, be perfectionistic. No, he says play ball. And play ball means to play with the innocence of the child, the 2-year-old who's totally absorbed with his toys. And if you can have that connection going on with what you're doing, you're going to be doing pretty good.
Nobody out, one on for Johnny Drennen. Martinez comes set. Here's the pitch. Drennen swings and drives this deep to right field. Over everything. Home run. Cleared the second tier of billboards, and Johnny Drennen has put the K-Tribe on top. They lead 2-1 after Drennen's third-round tripper of the season. Here comes Ramirez home from first, and Johnny Drennen right on his heels, his third home run of the season.